Now, welcome to the first online session for signals and systems. We will be proceeding with the fifth module. First 4 modules we have covered by and large. So, in the fifth module, the first points are sampling theorem, Nyquist state and other things. Since these points have been preliminarily covered in the other subjects of communication engineering, at this stage I would like to begin with the next point, that is, assuming that you are aware of sampling theorem. In the previous pre-midsem session we have also discussed how a discrete sequence is created from a continuous signal. So, based on that we will now go for what kind of different transformation operations are carried out on discrete sequence. It is very clear that we have a continuous signal. With the help of sampling, we convert it into a discrete signal and not digital signal. Even though in practice, while doing practicals, we may use digital signal, but theoretically it is a discrete signal which is having time axis discrete and amplitude axis continuous. A discrete sequence, to be very clear that we should not use the word discrete signal, it is a sequence. A continuous signal we have got is xt, and by suitably sampling it we convert it into a discrete sequence by appropriately adhering to the rules of sampling theorem, that is Nyquist state we never exceed, that is we never exceed means in the sense we never undersample. Now, we go for the definition of DTFT, and as usual we will not be sticking to the definition, we will try to redefine it in a manner which according to me is better understandable. So, we begin with the classical definition. So, the definition of DTFT, the input is xn, input is a sequence xn, the sequence xn itself is an array of numbers, and to be precise, each number in this array can be a 2-dimensional number. So, the input sequence is a point in 2D plane, it can be a real number also, but we have to take into consideration the 2-dimensional number also. However, we will go for some simpler real number transformations at a later stage. So, xn is the input sequence. Now, we transform it into something that is x of the, it is just a syntax, there is no much purpose that the symbol used in discrete sequence input sequence is small and is a capital, some convention is followed, x of omega. Sometimes in some text you will also find that it is shown as x of e raised to j omega, that is discrete time Fourier transform is xn gets transformed into x of omega, x of omega, to be very precise, is x of e raised to j omega, but we can always say that since e raised to j omega is a function of omega, overall it can be said always to be function of x omega. So, the convention which we will be using is x of omega. Now, to be very clear at the outset, here n is an integer, n is an integer here, that is the input sequence is a discrete sequence where n is an integer and xn is any value. So, xn is a 2-dimensional number, it can be real, it can be imaginary, it can be complex, and its amplitude is continuous, but the sample number is discrete, that is integer, means for n other than integer xn is undefined. So, x0, x minus 1, x minus 2, x1, x2, x3 is defined, x 1.5 is undefined. So, n is an integer and xn is the sequence. Now, omega is a real number. To be very precise, omega is a real number. So, x of omega is a function of real number omega, which can be two dimensional. So, x of omega is continuous, xn is discrete and x of omega is continuous. Now, what we want, xn is given to us, from xn we find out x of omega, this we say to it transform. So, when we say something we are transforming, there are some essential conditions for transforming. That one of the most essential conditions is that the transform must be invertible. Means if given sequence results into one function, it is required that this function should be resulting only from this function. Means from this you can find this. Say I will again give a very simple example, that addition operation is non-invertible, 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. Given 5 plus 3 you can say the answer is 8, but from the answer you can't find 5 plus 3 back. So, this is unique, but this is not unique. So, from this you find this, from this you can't find this. This is called as, it is addition is non-invertible operation. So, if ever we want to transform, means instead of saying this, if I want to say this, in that case the very essential property of any kind of transformation as we talk in sequential system is that the transform must be invertible. Now, how can we transform? So, x of omega must come from x of n. So, on the right hand side you have a sequence. So, listen now very carefully, very discrete time Fourier transform that I will never go by telling the definition and explaining it. Now, we will fundamentally discuss how do we transform, how to transform a sequence into a continuous function. Listen very carefully, n is a discrete sequence, from that the x n is a discrete sequence for which n is an integer. From given discrete sequence we want to generate a continuous function, and the very fundamental characteristic of transformation which we had discussed in Fourier transform in previous semester and this semester also, is that in Fourier transform what we do in case of continuous thing? In case of continuous thing, in case of Fourier transform, we are having x of t, where t is a continuous variable and xt is also continuous, it can be one or two dimensional. This we transform into x of omega. So, variable of a function of t, xt, for which t is a dependent variable, is transformed into function of another variable omega in such a manner that x of omega should not contain t. Means we should consider entire xt in such a manner that it becomes a function of other variable. So, what that time I think I do not know whether you recollect or not, but we had discussed that if we want to generate that, is it legible? X of omega is equal to, we need to consider xt in total. Then someone will say, yes, what is difficult in that? You simply integrate xt over entire time. So, that can be like this, minus infinity to infinity x of t dt. What that will happen? That will give me area under the curve. So, for given xt, again it is very precise that when we are having infinite function, infinite length function, to be meaningful it must be a well defined function, it must have a formula. If it is a finite function, then it can be random function, but if it is infinite, you have to have a formula. In case of continuous thing, even for small duration also, that non-formulatic function is not so easy. In case of sequence, it is somewhat possible. So, if we integrate, I will get area under the curve. So, for given xt, I will get x omega, but from that x omega, you can't get xt back because x omega is a single number, x omega, and it has nothing to do with omega. So, unless omega comes on this side, means what we want? We want entire xt to be considered. Listen very carefully again, it may be a repetition, but I hope it is essential to clarify the concept. When we think of transforming xt, what is required is that in the output, that is in the transform which we are generating, t should not come. So, we must consider each and every value of xt. So, when we integrate with limits, that is what we can say, the integral with limits means it may be for indefinite period, but it is minus infinity to infinity. So, it is the area under the curve in entirety. So, when we say we are integrating with limits which may be finite or infinite, we get area under the curve. So, in that case, what do? We fulfill one purpose, that when we consider entire sum, t disappears, we get a single value, it is independent of t. But that is not sufficient. Getting rid of t is necessary but not sufficient. At the same time, it must depend on omega. It must depend on omega. So, xt is there, we must integrate it for all time, but omega should be introduced in such a manner that I think I still recollect we have discussed very meticulously x omega is integration of xt into dt, and something in between that has to be some function which we have said that g of joint function of t and omega, and that we discussed was when we discussed a new transform, that is which is not to be listed, xc omega as integration of minus infinity to infinity x of t cos of omega t dt. So, here omega and t is a joint function, and simultaneously we had discussed xs of t as minus infinity to infinity x of t sin omega t dt, and that time we had discussed why we need these two, because the single xc omega is very much perfect, but if means for given xt we get xc omega, but it is not unique because there is a mirror function which can generate same xc omega. So, xc omega is there not from many functions, but from two functions. So, xt and its mirror image result into xc omega, whereas xs omega is generated in very interesting manner. The sequence and its inverted mirror image generates same xs omega. So, xc omega and xs omega together are generated by only single xt, and therefore, we say that xc omega and xc omega and xs omega, when I consider them together, this is called as x omega, that is it is Fourier transform, which is xc omega minus xs omega, and a joint definition of Fourier transform is minus infinity to infinity xt e raised to minus j omega t dt. It is the definition. So, but to be very precise, integrating with e raised to minus j omega t does not suit well for proper understanding. So, we say there are two different expressions. Like that now, with this background in mind, if we think of how do we think about a transform. So, see, by definition we proceeding to calculate is a mere, what we can say, not so easy but not so complex task, also not expected from engineering degree students. So, now what I want to get derived from u is x omega will come from xt, but what we must have is we must multiply x, sorry here, so I am extremely sorry, we have moved to discrete, so it will come from xn. X omega, that is a transform of a discrete sequence xn, will come from xn, but we must get rid of n. We must get rid of n means in the transform domain n should disappear. So, if we want n to disappear, we must take summation y, because it is a discrete sequence. When it was continuous, we took integration. When it is discrete, we take sum. You must have studied in your 11th, 12th or first or second year diploma that integration is limit of sum. So, we have a discrete sequence. So, we take some infinite summation from n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n. So, if we do that, we get the rid of n, but mere getting rid of n is not enough, because it will not have any effect of omega. Now, if we multiply it by something, of omega, function of omega only, it is of no use, because it will again give this as a single number. So, what we want when we transform, you see what is transform? Transform of a function of one variable is transformed into function of another variable in such a manner that we in case of discrete transformation now, we consider it to be weighted sum. In case of continuous thing, we took a scaled integration. I use the function scaled because it was continuous. Now, in case of discrete, it is simple. So, I discard this single or it is simple sum, but I add it, make it to be weighted sum. So, I have a sequence xn. To this sequence xn, I must add weights. Remember again, that is, I am very specific. For weight, actually I wanted to use, now a sequence is to be multiplied by another sequence, there is no problem. So, weight is also a sequence. So, this is input sequence and I am going for one weight sequence. So, for that weight sequence, the ideal symbol used should have been W, but that W will be confused with omega. So, just it is, I think it is not classical, just to make the understanding simpler, I am using the, instead of the symbol W, I would like to use the P is a general purpose, M I would have used, but most of the times we use M for index also. So, there should not be a confusion between index and the, what we can say, function. So, what we better use, so the simple way to use is something which normally one does not use. So, it is anyway for our discussion only. So, we use a sequence called as Q, because normally nobody uses it. It is something an abandoned letter. So, we make its use. So, what I repeat again, x of omega means we want that what we have, see in general now you are so much powerful as regards to information is concerned, that huge information available with you. When this concept of discrete time Fourier transform was developed, Fourier transform is centuries back, but discrete time Fourier transform is in the last century only. When it was developed, in those days information was not available to such extent which is available today. So, now it is for you, your role has become more challenging, because you have to interpret in proper way. First of all, you should check whether it is correct, and if it is correct, you need to interpret it in proper way. So, what we mean by transform? So, what do we do? A given, so what is given? X of n. What you want? X of omega. So, from what you have, in order to get what you want, you need to analyze how I can get that. So, what are the requirements? That it should be invertible, means from xn if I can get x omega, then from that x omega I should be able to get xn back. So, a discrete sequence xn is available with me. From this discrete sequence xn, I should be able to find out a continuous function x omega in such a manner that the function is having various values at different values of independent variable omega. Remember, omega is continuous. So, a discrete sequence is transformed into a continuous function. So, it should have, for given omega it should give you some x of omega, for other omega it should give you something different, and when xn changes x of omega should change, and for given xn x of omega should be such that it should depend, it should take into consideration all values of xn and it should also depend on omega. X of omega should be such that for determining x of omega for given xn, I should consider, means for given xn, if omega changes, x of omega will change. So, the weighted sum should be such that it should consider all n's samples at all values of index. Those should be multiplied by weight such that it should include omega somehow. So, this weight sequence Qn, this weight sequence Qn must be including omega. It must be a joint function, it must be dependent on, so Qn depends on n as well as omega. So, there are many possibilities which you can consider. Had it been a on what we can say actual classroom, we could have given tasks, we could have asked an individual, but that is not possible here. So, we will go with few known weight sequences. So, let us take Qn equal to, let us take now, if we take Qn is equal to cosine of omega n. Now, this is not the definition of Fourier transform. So, what I will say, we are right now we want to study discrete time Fourier transform, but this is just a transform. So, since I am using the weight sequence cos, I give subscript c. So, xc omega I can say is, listen very carefully, you will not find this somewhere. DCT you might have been heard if you are somewhat in the lockdown period, if you are served internet, what it should have been. So, somewhere you would have got DCT, discrete cosine transform, but DTCT you must not have read, that is my perception. So, this XCT I am defining in a unique manner, it is, let it be listed for our class only. XCT is summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity, x of n multiplied by weight. So, a weighted sum where weight is now a cosine sequence cos omega n. Xc omega is what it is, DTCT. Only thing is that you should not disclose this beyond the class, because they will say what kind of nonsense teaching is being adopted there, because we have never heard DTCT. So, xc omega is, we call it as DTCT, discrete time cosine transform. Xc omega is discrete time cosine transform. Now, as the lockdown period is extended, we have ample time. So, we can elaborate everything in much detail, there is no rush as such. Now, we will find the discrete time cosine transform for few given functions, and from them you may understand something. Now, is it clear now? So, what we have started with? We have started now the session which we began with the 5th module, and in that 5th module the sampling theorem being already considered, we have moved 2 steps ahead and we are talking about DTFT. So, the point which is being discussed from syllabus is DTFT, discrete time Fourier transform, but I will not define, I will not write the formula and explain. I would like that at the end of the session all of you will understand what it means. So, in that, so what is DTFT? First of all, it is a transform of what? Of a discrete sequence to what? A continuous function. So, we want discrete sequence to be transformed into a continuous function, and from that point of view actually every student can have his own transform. It must satisfy few criteria that we will discuss later, and if so, wavelet transform is found by somebody like this. So, like that you may come up with a new transform, but that new is different. But right now let us take some examples. What is transform? So, I have told you a discrete time transform which transforms the given sequence into a continuous function is weighted sum, wherein samples will come is weighted sum of the samples of given sequence. So, weight sequence, so given sequence multiplied by weight sequence and summed over entire n is the final answer. So, the weight sequence includes omega. So, weight sequence contains, so the Qn is cos omega n here. So, this we have defined as discrete time. So, to start with, instead of jumping DTFT, we defined our new transform, that is DTCT. What is the DTCT? I say xc omega is equal to summation x of n and q of n, which is cos omega n, and n from minus infinity to infinity. Now, some difficulties which were there in processing continuous signal and finding continuous transforms like Fourier transform or Laplace transform. At that time we have to find integration, but instead of integration, summation is more simple, much simpler. So, we take few examples. What examples we should take? Then you will say that xn is equal to 0, xn is equal to 0. So, this is too trivial, x omega is 0, right. There is no point in discussing that. But then we should take a next simpler version, but that is not so simple. That is xn is equal to 1, a constant function. Xn is equal to 1 means what? It is not so easy now. Xn is equal to 1 means it is 1 everywhere. So, x0 is 1, x1 is 1. So, if I plot it, it gets plotted as one, 1, 1, 0, 1, 2, minus 1, minus 2. So, now it is an infinite sequence. Xn is an infinite, xn equal to 1 is a sequence of infinite length. So, it is a DC sequence, constant sequence. Now, will you say it is simple? It looks simple, but summation is infinite. It looks simple, but summation is infinite. So, it is not that way simple. Here it was simple because everything was 0. So, summation we did not bother. So, xn equal to 1, yes, very simple, but infinite sum. So, we will take it, but after some time we keep it pending. And now we go for next sequence. So, that is xn is equal to, now we will define a sequence for finite length. Means what? The sequence xn is having non-zero value only for finite duration of time. The sequence is having non-zero value only for finite duration of time, and after that on both sides, or after that or before that, it is 0. So, we can say that xn, we define it in this manner, xn is equal to 1, 2, and we put arrow here indicating 0. So, x0 is 1, x1 is 2, and everywhere else, that is x2, x3, x minus 1, x minus 2, everywhere else it is 0. So, it is a finite length sequence. It is a finite length sequence. So, this is somewhat simpler. Then is there anything further simple? Yes, that is most simple, but very critical as well. Xn is equal to 1. So, it is at n equal to 0, it is 1 and 0 elsewhere. This we say as unit sample, unit impulse. It is unit impulse. So, impulse in this continuous thing was a sequence with area 1, width 0, height infinity. That is somewhat difficult to understand. Hope that you have understood it to a better level. But this unit impulse in discrete thing is very simple in looking at least. So, it is called as delta n, that is delta n is equal to 1 for n equal to 0 and 0 elsewhere. Now, for these various values we will find transform, and then we will check what does it mean. So, the formula is simple. I write formula at the top so that we get a more board space. So, the formula I again rewrite, there will be revision for you. What we are discussing now? dTft, from dTft we have come to dTct. xc omega is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity to infinity xt cosine of omega, sorry, x square bracket n cosine of omega n. See, this is very important. I might have forgotten previously. xn cosine of omega n. Now, if we take this, there is no point in calculation, but still we can calculate and conclude that it results into, so if xn is 0, I save the board space, x omega is equal to also 0. Now, for this I will take after some time, we will take this very simple, xn is equal to 1 for n equal to 0, xn equal to 0 elsewhere. So, delta function. So, in that case what it would be? xc omega, you can easily calculate, this summation will disappear because on the right hand in the components of sum we get a non-zero term only for xn equal to n equal to 0, and elsewhere irrespective of this value of cosine of omega n, because in any way it will be between 0 to plus 1 or 0 to minus 1. So, it will, the weights would be in the range of minus 1 to 1, and if this xn is 0, the answer is 0. So, the summation will not be meaningful, it would be simply x0 cosine of omega into 0. So, only for n equal to 0 it is meaningful, for n other than 0 it is 0. So, the summation will be a single term. So, x of 0 cosine of omega into 0. So, it is 1 and it is 1. So, remember what we get, you have got, you might be remembering, if input is impulse, in case of Fourier transform also, we get x omega as 1. In continuous Fourier transform, an impulse input results into a Fourier transform which becomes independent of omega. Same thing happens here, that xc omega is 1. So, if xn is unit impulse function, it results into xc of omega as 1. I think it is quite simple, xc omega as 1. Now, we go for this, it is very interesting now. Xn is 1, 2, xn is 1, 2. So, it is what terms it will be? Only for n equal to 0 and 1, it is having some meaningful terms. So, I can, the summation, this infinite summation is becoming now simple two term sum x0 into cosine of omega 0 plus x1 cosine of omega into 1. So, x0 is 1, cosine of omega 0 is 1. So, it is, so I think 1, we should not take 1 here because you have taken. So, we take 2 and 3. So, it is more, so it gives you some different sense. So, let us change, it is not any unique formula, it is example only. So, 2, so x0 is 2, cosine of omega into 0, cosine of omega, this I need not write square bracket, this can be plain bracket because there it is not a sequence, means it is not an index here. So, qn is cos omega n. So, cos omega into 0, that is 1, plus what is x1? x1 is 3 and cos of omega into 1 is cos omega. So, the answer is 2 plus 3 cos omega, x cosine transform, discrete time cosine transform of xn equal to 2, 3 is 2 plus 3 cos omega, 2 plus 3 cos omega. So, up till now we have defined the cosine, discrete time cosine transforms for xn equal to 0, that way meaningless, xn equal to unit impulse function meaningful, x of that dtct is 1, then a finite sequence dtct is 2 plus 3 cos omega. Now, we define it, now if it is just I can extend it 2, 3, comma 5, what would have happened? 2x plus x2 cos omega into 2. So, this would have become, if I add 5 here, then there might have been simple change, that is 5 cosine of 2 omega, 5 cosine of 2 omega. So, this would have been the answer. Now, we go for xn equal to 1. So, xn equal to 1 is very interesting, and here it is a very challenging also. So, if xn is equal to 1 throughout, then the summation from the summation term xn will be constant. So, it would be simply n equal to minus infinity to infinity cosine of omega n equal to infinity to minus infinity cosine of omega n. It is a very, very challenging expression we have got. So, we will spend substantial amount of time here. So, we are now discussing about discrete time cosine transform, which is a newly defined function by us for xn equal to 1. So, xc omega is this xn being 1, this xn being 1, it comes out and simply summation cosine omega n. So, you will say what a big deal, what a big deal. It is quite interesting, it is so interesting that what that sum would be. It is an infinite sum. In the summation, no complex term, no huge, a single term, and that too very simple. I am not asking you to sum something, some very, what we can say, complex word I will not use because it is understood in different way, complicated function. So, cos omega is a simple function. So, xc omega for xn equal to 1, xn equal to 1 gets transformed into xc omega, which is summation cos omega n, means what? Cos for n equal to 0, that is cos omega, that is 1. So, to be very precise, 1 plus for n equal to 1, what it is? Cos omega plus cos 2 omega plus cos 3 omega. Is it right? Simply I am writing n equal to 1, n equal to 0, that is 1, plus cos omega, plus cos 2 omega, plus cos 3 omega, and on minus side, what do we have got? For n equal to minus 1, cos minus omega, that is cos minus omega is cos omega. So, those terms I will add here again, cos, I write minus omega plus cos minus 2 omega plus cos minus 3 omega. So, that is 1 plus, that is 1 plus two cos omega plus 2 cos 2 omega plus 2 cos 3 omega and so on, which I can write again. I think now I will rub it out this, and this is a very big problem to be considered by applying your mind. So, I can find 2 common. So, it is 1 plus 2 into bracket cos omega plus cos 2 omega plus cos 3 omega plus cos 4 omega plus cos 5 omega plus cos 6 omega and so on and so forth, right. So, the final answer xc omega is 1 plus 2 into bracket cos omega, cos 2 omega, cos 3 omega, cos 4 omega, what this would be, what common sense tells us. Cos function is an oscillatory function, means it takes value from minus 1 to plus 1, not beyond that. Now, if you choose omega such that if there are some questions we will raise, what will happen if omega is 0? What will happen if omega is 0? If omega is 0, in that case, every value in the bracket will be 1. So, cos 0 is 1, cos 2 into 0 is 1. So, the bracket will become infinite, and in that case xc omega will be infinite, xc omega will be infinite. So, to be precise, it is very interesting term that xc omega is infinity if omega is 0, if infinity for omega equal to 0, for omega equal to 0, listen very carefully, xc omega is infinite. And now for omega other than 0, for omega other than 0, so for omega equal to 0, every term in the bracket will be 1, and therefore all terms will add to infinity. If omega is other than 0, let us say omega equal to 0.5, anything you can consider. In that case, what will happen? So, if you take omega equal to 1, remember omega is in radians here, omega is in radians. So, if you take, or now you can take something like pi by 4 etc., but why to restrict our thinking? Let us take omega equal to 1. If we take omega equal to 1, what will happen? It will be 1 plus 2 into bracket cos 1 plus cos 2 plus cos 3 plus cos 4 plus cos 5 in radians, angle is in radians, so 57 point something. So, in that case we will find this is something which I can't prove explicitly, but by common sense everybody will understand. You can write a MATLAB program and you will understand that as you go along, cos 1 plus cos, you should simply write a function cos 1 plus cos 2 plus cos 3 plus cos 4. Don't use index n to confuse, you use index something as m or something as I or something as p. So, cos 1 plus cos 2 plus cos 3 plus cos 4 plus cos 5, what you will find that you are going on plus side, you are going on minus side, plus something minus something, plus something minus something, and you will find that if it goes to infinity, it will be 0. As you go to infinity, means if you take summation of 10 terms, 11 terms, 12 terms, you will find that they cancel each other, and at least with respect to this value, it becomes, means now here n is an index. So, infinity is something which is unachievable, but is countable, n is an integer. So, I am counting and I can very well say that I will have the such value of n for which the summation would be very negligible, will tend to 0. So, finally what we can get is the summation will always, the infinite summation will not exceed in any case plus 1 or minus 1, and means now this summation for omega other than 0, for omega equal to 0 this sum is infinite, for omega other than 0 this sum is that way. If you ask classically, it is indeterminate, you can't exactly say what it is, but it is not indeterminate like 0 into infinity. This is indeterminate in the range bound value from minus 1 to plus 1. The summation will not exceed from plus 1, will not exceed minus 1, and I can safely say it is 0. So, I can say that if xn is 1, then xc omega is an impulse function. Xc omega is impulse function, or to be very precise, it is 2 delta omega. Xc omega is 2 delta omega, because this 2 is coming here and this 1 is negligible. So, it is 2 into bracket infinity. So, it is xc omega is 2 delta omega, means infinity at omega equal to 0 such that area is 2 and 0 elsewhere. It is very important conclusion that xc omega is 2 delta omega for n equal to, so xn equal to 1. Now, we can take various other values. You will now ask me a very interesting question, what will happen if omega is equal to 2 pi? If omega equal to 2 pi, obviously cos of 0 and cos of 2 pi is same. So, if for For 0 I am getting infinite answer, for 2 pi also I will get same infinite answer. So, that further tells us that since I am using a cosine term here, this xc omega is no doubt a continuous function, but it is a periodic function. Means for if I compute something for omega equal to omega 1, and if I have omega 2 is equal to omega 1 plus 2 pi, then xc of omega 1 will be equal to xc of omega 2. This is the main difference between continuous time Fourier transform and discrete time Fourier transform. In case of continuous time Fourier transform, the input is a continuous function, the output is a continuous function. In case of discrete time Fourier transform, input is a discrete sequence, output is a continuous function, but it is a periodic function. So, meaningful range is only range of 2 pi. So, beyond 2 pi, if you repeat if you go beyond 2 pi, the function will repeat. That is, xc omega is very peculiar continuous function, but defined in any range of 2 pi. So, normally we define from minus pi to pi, or 0 to 2 pi also you can define, but there is a standard pattern that from xn we define a discrete time cosine transform which is valid, meaningful from minus pi to pi. Beyond that, on both sides it simply repeats. There is no point, means there is no point in specifying that, because it is means beyond minus pi to pi it simply repeats. So, meaningful function is in the range of 2 pi. So, it is a repetitive periodic function with a period of 2 pi. So, now we can take various different values. We will convince ourselves for discrete time cosine transform. Then after finding discrete time cosine transform, we will study the limitations. Is it invertible? And you will find that it is not invertible, because given function and its image give me same thing. And we will also find whether discrete time cosine transform can exist for every value of xn. So, we will go through all these things. I hope that you are able to understand something. Even though we find that there are some gaps in understanding, we will address them. Means after this lecture there can be an interaction session, and in the interaction session we can find the gaps, and then that I will address in the next session. So, now suppose if I have got xn as, very interesting, I take xn as cos 2n, xn as cos 2n, right. Now, what is DTCT? So, simply there is no rocket science is here. I write the function on left hand side. So, xn is equal to cos, I can take n also. Why 2? Why should I introduce 2? xn is cos n, is a function. Now, what would be DTCT? Go by simple method. You always keep it in mind that the derivative of first principles, if you always keep that in mind, you will succeed in everything. Just go for limit as s tends to 0, f of x plus h minus fx upon h. So, from that you can find everything. So, go by formula. So, xc omega is simply n is equal to minus infinity to infinity, x of n, it is cos n and cos omega n, right. It is cos n cos omega n. So, we will come to a very simple answer here. Cos, you know, it is to be converted into, what is cos? Cos plus cos is 2 cos, or cos is, you know that we can have it half, means cos A cos B is half cos A plus B by 2 plus half cos A minus B by 2. So, what it is now? It is summation. Now, it is there is no domain expertise required. It is a typical 12th level trigonometric problem. So, cos n cos omega n is what? Cos n cos omega n, I will solve on this side separately. Cos n cos omega n is what? Half cos omega plus 1 by 2, half I will keep outside, plus cos, what it would be? 1 minus omega, or omega minus 1 is immaterial because cos is a even function. Omega minus 1 is minus 1 minus omega, so it is immaterial. So, either you can take A plus B, A minus B or B minus A. So, it is, I will take cos omega minus 1 by 2, cos omega plus 1 by 2, cos omega minus 1 by 2. Is it right or something else? Cos A cos B, is it right? So, I think it is not. Cos plus cos is 2 cos cos. In that case, I think this is not coming. So, let us revise the trigonometric knowledge and you will find that this does not come. So, it is half cosine of omega plus 1 and cosine of omega minus 1. So, in this case it is very simple. What I can say is I transfer that x c omega is half into bracket summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity cosine of what is, and n obviously common, n obviously common. It is n plus omega n and n minus omega n or omega n minus 1. So, cos omega plus 1 n, cos omega minus 1 n. So, it is cos omega plus 1 n plus cos omega minus 1 n. Do not write dn, otherwise you in integration you are used to write delta dt. So, in summation there is no question of dn, otherwise I have seen in few papers that they write dn. So, now what it is? It is quite obvious, exactly similar to what we discussed that time. What was happening in that in previous case? In previous case when x n was 1, it was summation of cos omega n. When omega was 0, the answer was infinity, and for omega other than 0, the answer is 0. Now, what do we answer for this? If omega is minus 1, means if this bracket goes to 0, it will be infinite. If this bracket goes to 0, it will be infinite. So, for omega equal to 1 and for omega equal to minus 1, for omega equal to 1 and for omega equal to minus 1, the answer is infinity, and elsewhere the answer is 0. So, we can say, and half is there. In previous case, what was the answer? In previous case, x c omega was 2 delta omega, means it was impulse of 2, but now it is 2, this half getting cancelled, delta of omega plus 1 and delta of omega minus 1. So, x c omega is equal to delta omega plus 1 plus delta omega minus 1, means if I plot a graph, it is an impulse, and on the top of the impulse you should show impulse of what? It is impulse of 1 at omega equal to 1 and omega equal to minus 1. and this is xc omega on this axis. Xc omega versus omega plot we have done. So, this is discrete time cosine transform for xn is equal to cos n, xn equal to cos n. I think it was a very heavy dose. We shall stop now, and the remaining part we can discuss in the next session.